Please like, share, and subscribe this video to support.
2 U.S. Code, Chapter 25, Unfunded Mandates Reform. 2 U.S. Code, Subchapter 1, Legislative Accountability and Reform. 2 U.S. Code, Paragraph 1511, Cost of Regulations. A. Sense of Congress. It is the sense of the Congress that federal agencies should review and evaluate planned regulations to ensure that the cost estimates provided by the Congressional Budget Office will be carefully considered as regulations are promulgated. B. Statement of Cost. At the request of a committee chairman or ranking minority member, the director shall, to the extent practicable, prepare a comparison between 1. An estimate by the relevant agency, prepared under Section 1532 of this title, of the cost of regulations implementing an act containing a federal mandate, and 2. The cost estimate prepared by the Congressional Budget Office for such act when it was enacted by the Congress. C. Cooperation of Office of Management and Budget. At the request of the Director of the Congressional Budget Office, the Director of the Office of Management and Budget shall provide data and cost estimates for regulations implementing an act containing a federal mandate covered by Part B of Title IV of the Congressional Budget and Impoundment Control Act of 1974, 2 U.S.C. 658 etc. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1512, Consideration for Federal Funding. Nothing in this chapter shall preclude a state, local, or tribal government that already complies with all or part of the federal intergovernmental mandates included in the bill, joint resolution, amendment, motion, or conference report from consideration for federal funding under Section 658d(a)(2) of this title for the cost of the mandate, including the cost the state, local, or tribal government is currently paying and any additional costs necessary to meet the mandate. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1513, Impact on Local Governments. A. Findings. The Senate finds that 1. The Congress should be concerned about shifting costs from federal to state and local authorities, and should be equally concerned about the growing tendency of states to shift costs to local governments. 2. Cost shifting from states to local governments has, in many instances, forced local governments to raise property taxes or curtail sometimes essential services. And 3. Increases in local property taxes and cuts in essential services threaten the ability of many citizens to attain and maintain the American dream of owning a home in a safe, secure community. B. Sense of Senate. It is the sense of the Senate that 1. The federal government should not shift certain costs to the state, and states should end the practice of shifting costs to local governments, which forces many local governments to increase property taxes. 2. States should end the imposition, in the absence of full consideration by their legislatures, of state-issued mandates on local governments without adequate state funding, in a manner that may displace other essential government priorities. And 3. One primary objective of this chapter and other efforts to change the relationship among federal, state, and local governments should be to reduce taxes and spending at all levels, and to end the practice of shifting costs from one level of government to another with little or no benefit to taxpayers. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1514, Enforcement in House of Representatives. A. Omitted. B. Committee on Rules reports on waived points of order. The Committee on Rules shall include in the report required by Clause 1(d)(1) of Rule 11, relating to its activities during the Congress, of the Rules of the House of Representatives a separate item identifying all waivers of points of order relating to federal mandates, listed by bill or joint resolution number and the subject matter of that measure. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1515, Exercise of Rulemaking Powers. The provisions of Sections 658 to 658G and 1514 of this title are enacted by Congress. 1. As an exercise of the rulemaking power of the Senate and the House of Representatives, respectively, and as such they shall be considered as part of the rules of such House, respectively, and such rules shall supersede other rules only to the extent that they are inconsistent therewith, and 2. With full recognition of the constitutional right of either House to change such rules, so far as relating to such House, at any time, in the same manner, and to the same extent as in the case of any other rule of each House. 2 U.S. Code Paragraph 1516, Authorization of Appropriations. There are authorized to be appropriated to the Congressional Budget Office $4,500,000 for each of the fiscal years 1996, 1997, 1998, 1999, 2000, 2001, and 2002 to carry out the provisions of this subchapter.